Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Generationally Speaking. Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and let me welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Each week, we sit at the table of discernment and we discuss life issues from all the voices, the younger voices, the older voices, the millennials, the Gen Zs, the boomers, you name it, we talk to everybody. And we are always excited about how God leads our discussions. It is at the table of discernment, here in Generationally Speaking, that you can be inspired, that you can be informed, and I always say, if you have inspiration and you get some information, transformation is going to take place. Well, I am excited today for my guest. I was introduced to her by a friend of mine who said, you need to have my friend on. I said, girl, you know what? I'm going to have her on. And so she introduced me to Nancy, the travel lady. Is that right?
Travel Lady Shop.
The Travel Lady Shops. And when I went to her page, I was like, oh yes. So today we're going to have some fun. We're going to be ooh and ah, and we're going to learn a lot about her travels and about Nancy herself. So as we begin, let me say, first of all, Nancy, I am just excited about having you here today. I just can't wait for us to get into this conversation. I can't wait to hear about the places you've been, the experiences that you've had. And so for my audience to get to know you even better, share with us a little bit about your formative years. That young Nancy that was running around, just enjoying life.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here today and to talk to your audience. And thank you, Jacqueline, for inviting me and introducing me. I was always very athletic. Always had a lot of energy. Very just outgoing. I'm an extrovert. I know there's a lot of introverts, but I am a big extrovert. I grew up here in Washington, D.C., and I went away to college, and I grew up here, and I just love being in Maryland. I love traveling. I caught the bug really young through my mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that this extroverted person that you talk about, and your mom, when you look back over your life and you think about your mom, your dad, your aunts, your uncles, who was it outside of your mom that impacted your life to say, you know what, I really want to make sure I see the world?
It was my mother, and then my job. I traveled a lot for my job at the time, and I was in my 20s, and I was doing a lot of traveling for my job, a lot of TDY.
Okay.
And you really don't get a chance to enjoy the city where you are. And I said, one day I'm going to travel. And so once I graduated from college, then I really had the time to just enjoy myself and just see the world. And my first trip was with my mother to Rome and Florence, Italy.
Well, she said something that caught my attention, and that was once she graduated from college, she had an opportunity to travel. I remember when I graduated from college, my mother said, girl, you got to go to work. You got to go to work. So tell us a little bit about this hiatus that you took to enjoy travel, or was it a hiatus?
It wasn't a hiatus.
Okay.
No, I was still working. I was working. But I took vacations. I took leave. You know, I had annual leave, and I took my leave, and I said I want to go somewhere, and that's what I did. had a plan, and that extrovert in me is like, where do you want to go? And I just had a globe at home, and I started, deciding where I wanted to go. I always kept a 5-year plan with trips and where I wanted to go, and I started checking them off. And once I got to, the end of that list, I created a new list for me to travel.
Well, you talk about travel and an extroverted personality, and a lot of people, when they think about travel, especially outside of the United States, especially, I think sometimes people of color, there's some trepidation. So, how did you tap that down and move forward?
I'm just an outgoing
Just
person,
what?
and I'm not scared of anything. So I said I want to go to Rome, and and at that time, a lot of my friends had not been out of the country, so I was one of the first ones that was really stepping out there, and no one went with me. And my mother was like, "Well, I'll go." I was like, okay. So I wanted it to be a girls' trip. And then my mother said she would go. And I'm so glad that she ended up going with me. The memories that we created was amazing.
So that first trip out of the country with your mom, as you look back now, what stands out as just an awesome memory that is etched in your heart?
When we took pictures in front of the Vatican, that was amazing. And my mother passed in 2019.
Wow.
And so that's why I started Travel Lady Shops. It was a way to honor her memory. And so that's one of the best memories is that in eating pizza. Their pizza is totally different over there. Their pizza is like this thin.
Yes, I think we and as you navigated Rome, you and your mom together, what type of attention did you all garner? How were the people towards you all?
That was so long ago, but I don't remember any issues. Um, the only thing I remember is like at the first hotel, we didn't stay at. We stayed at a authentic Roman hotel. So they had like one elevator that wasn't working, and we had steps, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Well, and so from that trip, what was the next pivotal moment that you think about now that got this Travel Lady shop moving forward?
Okay, so that was it. And during that trip, I met at the airport. There was a young lady there. So when I first started traveling, I made sure that I didn't talk to strangers. It was all about being very secure. Security was a big issue. You don't want to get kidnapped. I was scared, but it was something that I wanted to do. So you have to be very careful about, who you talk to, and with my job, we were always told, when you go out of the country, you need to do this, you need to do this, be very careful. So I didn't talk to a lot of people when I was out of the country. So when we got to the airport in Germany, we had to transfer our flights. There was a young lady sitting there, and my cousin was trying to talk to her, and I said, "Leave that lady alone. Don't be talking to her. Leave her alone." And then I heard her talk, and I was like, "Oh, she's from America." So I started talking to her, and I was like, "What were you doing there?" And she was like, "Oh, I was working." And I was like, "Okay." So we became very good friends. And she works for a university, and she works for the study abroad program.
Okay.
So she became a really good friend. And so the following year, I went to Milan, Italy with her, and I've traveled a lot with her. So she really helped me see the world where I didn't think I could see some of these places.
Right. So in Milan, while you were there, did you notice the embrace of the folk towards you? I've been to Italy, and it was a different embrace there.
I don't have any problem when I travel. I've heard other people say that. I think I just try to keep a really positive attitude and just, I think I brush anything off if it does. I don't take it too seriously. I just keep it moving because I know I'm in another country and I just try to, make sure I don't get arrested or cause any problems. So I'll just keep it moving
Yeah.
unless it's just something really obvious. You have the language barrier sometimes, and when you're out to eat and you're trying to eat and order, they can get frustrated with you if you don't know how to order. So you kind of sometimes keep it simple. Sometimes they'll have English at the bottom of the menu so that you can order. Sometimes they don't. So you have to ask questions, especially because I have allergies. So I have to be very careful when I eat out of the country. But yeah, I just keep it moving.
Yeah, while we were there, we were embraced very warmly.
Okay.
They loved us.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So after your job, it afforded you the opportunity to travel as well. So tell us a little bit about that, as much as you can share.
Yeah, I was in IT, and so I didn't travel out of the country.
Okay.
All of my travels with my job was just in the United States, but I was really young, so it gave me that bug. That's probably where I first got the bug.
Okay.
I was traveling all over the United States, so I was gone 1 week, come home, gone another week. So my suitcase was constantly on rotation. I was going to California, I went to LA for the first time, I went to Denver, I went to Syracuse, I went to Florida. Everything was like the first time I was going to different places was through the job. So that was nice because it was on their expense.
Okay. So on your foreign travels, did you give thought to what you could wear and what might be a little offensive while you're in these places?
Yes, Dubai. I went to Dubai in 2018 and I did a lot of research.
Okay.
Well, any trip I take, you have to do a lot of research. You just don't get on a plane and jump and go over there. You want to do a lot of research. You want to know their laws, their customs. You want to know what you can get arrested for. So you have to be very careful. And Dubai was a tricky one. So I made sure that I was covered as much as possible. And definitely when you're going into the mosque, you want to be covered. There was an instance where my cousin, they did not read the details and they could not get in the mosque. They had their arms were showing like from here down, and they would not allow them in. So yeah, definitely.
Right. I know in our travels, as we've gone into different mosques, they even provide covering for you in case you don't have it. You do have to cover you. Recently, there was a young woman over in Dubai who, an American, who got caught up in a verbal altercation, and she raised her voice. And there in Dubai, it's against the law for a woman to raise her voice to a man. And so now the State Department and everyone is working to try to get her released. So these are
Yeah.
things that you definitely have to be knowledgeable of. And it had to do with a rental car. And they talked about scams. So and I guess a part of your research is to make sure you don't get caught up in any type of scams like those.
Yeah, I never get a rent-a-car when I travel.
Okay.
So I'm not driving anywhere. It's Uber, taxi, walking. I always try to find a hotel that is centrally located. So that's a big thing, where I can go downstairs, walk, shop, eat, and walk back to my hotel. And if it is a taxi, it's not far from where I want to go. So I map all that out before I go.
So in your travel, do you also map out the length of stay? I mean, are there some places you say, I only need a few days here, and other places you say, I might want to stay 5 days here? Is that a part of your consideration?
It is. It is. At least 2 or 3 days in one location most of the time. But yeah, it depends on how much I want to see, how much I want to shop, because there's a lot of shopping, and sightseeing. So yeah, normally it's 2 or 3 days while I'm still working. Once I retire, it will be longer.
So as you travel all these places, did it start to impact the way you styled yourself?
Yes. So from the first trip, I found stuff that was different. And I love the fact that I would come back home and have on something that someone else wouldn't have. So it was just like a thrill then to like, where am I going next? And I would do research to find local designers in that country.
Wow.
So you don't want to just always go to, because you'll see some stores that we have over there, right? And you may want to go into those, but I will specifically Google local designers. Like when I went to Finland and Denmark and Sweden, I made sure I went and I Googled shopping in Finland, local designers in Finland, and I made sure that I mapped it out where it was from the hotel, and I made sure to go into those stores and buy something so that I could have something that was unique to me and that no one else would have.
So as you go into these stores, the frugal person that I am, do you do you barter?
There's no barter in the store. That's on the streets maybe, but not in the store.
I'm in the store trying to see what they can give me.
No. When you're on vacation, you don't, your budget is kind of out of the window a little bit. You have a budget, but if you want it, you got to be willing to spend for it.
That frugal.
But I do look for the sale signs. They do have sales.
Yeah,
A lot of sales.
yeah. So, what is the most unique piece that you purchased in your travel?
I just did a podcast last month about this, and so one of the things that I got in Milan, Italy, was this chocolate leather coat. And it is amazing. And that was in 2008. It's 2023, and I'm still wearing that coat. Love it. So I got my money's worth out of that, and no one has that coat here. So I love that. And when I was in Rochester, New York, I went to a vintage. I'm going into vintage now, and so I went to a vintage store, and I found this cute silver box bag. I forgot the name of it, but it's from the 1940s or 50s or 60s, something like that. But it's so cute. It was something made in Japan. I forgot the name of it, but I have it on my social media pages. But it's so cute.
Wow.
So now I think my travels now will involve more vintage stores where I wasn't doing that before. But in 2019. I was in Denmark, and it was like the last couple of days in Denmark, and I was shopping, and I saw this vintage store, and I went in, and I was overwhelmed. But it had so many good pieces, but we were rushing, and it was time to go. But from now on, I'm going to make that like a day where I just do vintage shopping, consignment shopping, thrift shopping when I go out of the country. You can find some really amazing pieces.
When I think about vintage shopping, I always ask myself, when I go in, I'm not sure what to buy. So how did you go about establishing your style? When you go to work, you have a certain style because, your job may dictate that you wear certain clothing. But outside of the job, and once you retire, you have to develop or find a style that's comfortable for you. How did you get to that place, and what would you say your style is?
So for me, I'm a little different. I told you I'm an extrovert. So at work, I was always pushing the envelope. I never wanted to just wear the blue suit, the gray suit, the brown suit. If I did, it had pink in it. It had some leopard in it. It had some high heels with it. I was always bold and different, always. And so nothing much has changed because I've always been that way. And just so now, even when I retire, I'm just going to be the same way. I'm just going to be bold. I'm going to be different. I'm going to play with texture. I'm going to play with prints. I'm going to play with color and just have fun, because fashion is fun and you should have fun with it. So
That's a great statement, and I'm excited to hear that. But for some of us, we wrestle with boldness. We wrestle with bright colors. We wrestle with textures. And you're in the mirror and you're twirling and you say, oh, and your bed is covered with things that you tried on and said, no, that's too tight. I don't know if I bend over. I don't know what. And so How does an extrovert tell an introvert how to get that out of their mind?
So there are well, now with social media, you have Pinterest, you have other influencers that are online now, women that are over 50, over 60, over 70 that are dressing that way. So if you find them, you follow them on social media, you look at what they're wearing. A lot of times you can reach out to them. There are a lot of stylists online that help women. But if you don't want to, work with a stylist, just take your time, go into the stores and play with a bold jacket. I'm wearing bold today. So I love black, but a lot of times I will not wear black on purpose because I know everybody is going to wear black. So I will purposely wear something else bold. If you're trying to start with one piece. And I always suggest a blazer because a pop of color, you could do this with black, you could do this with white, you could do it with all the dresses that you already have in your closet. Go get a bold, bright blazer and put it with everything that you have. You can wear it with jeans, you can wear it to church, you can wear it to work, you can wear it to brunch, you can wear it everywhere. That's what I would suggest.
So for those who like, to be who like being casual, how do you dress up casual? Like, I see people with the fitted pants. How do you dress that up?
You just normally accessories. Accessories are a big way. Whether it's your glasses, it could be your glasses. Get a new pair of glasses in a different shade, a different color, a different texture. Your purse, instead of your regular black purse or brown purse, get a pop of color. Do orange, do yellow. Do a little bit of bling, a little bling on you can elevate any look.
Yeah, if you don't know,
I see the
love a
earrings.
little bling.
Look at
I
her
love a
bling.
little bling. I love a little bling. Bling is not for everybody, but for me,
Yes.
I found out that I love bling. And I think everybody, you have to find what's comfortable.
What's comfortable?
What's comfortable for you, but lifting that comfort so you don't look like I don't want to say, but that lifting that look, elevating that look, so that even being casual, you're comfortable, but you have a flair, a style that's you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow. So now we love your hair. What do you do with that?
So I have been natural now over 10 years. I went from a perm and I chopped it all off. I did what they call the big chop, pretty much, and then I wore my hair in different afros, different textures, different styles for 7 years. And then I decided to lock once I turned 50. I wanted to try something different, and I started with little tiny, tiny locks. They were the ugliest things ever in the beginning. But when you love yourself and you know that you're beautiful no matter what, you don't care, right? So I had to go through that journey of wearing my locks really short. Now they're all the way down my back, and they're beautiful. I didn't cover them up. I did not wear a wig. I did not try to hide them. I wore them as they were. And so now I have my locks. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I love them.
Yeah, I think it's sort of good that we as women of color, that we are embracing our hair. And as we move forward, and there are so many issues that women experience that causes hair loss. Myself, having gone through a battle with cancer and now taking chemo pills, it thins your hair out. There are others who, when they go through chemo, they actually lose their hair and they shave their heads. Then there are others who have other medical conditions where their hair, they lose their hair. But I love what I'm seeing today, and that is the sisters embracing all the looks, from no hair to lots of hair.
Yes.
I love that.
I love it too.
And I think it's time for us to learn to embrace our hair texture. There's nothing wrong with wearing a wig or a weave or whatever it might be that you want to, but embrace the natural you as well. That's sort of important.
Yeah.
And it speaks loudly when I see a woman in her freedom, in her boldness, in her authentic self, with no hair, and she's got the glasses, she's got the style. I'm like, ah, girlfriend, you as we used to say in the day, you slaying.
Yes, yes.
So as we move forward now, you've traveled all these places. Tell us about some of the places. You named a few, but share with us a little bit about all the places you visited and what you learned from some of those places.
Well, the one that I really love to share with everyone is that I went to Australia by myself. That was a solo trip in 2016. It wasn't supposed to be a solo trip, but someone had to back out. And I said, I'm still going. We're going to go. And I talked to a couple of people that had already been and did my research. And you just learn so much about the country. I did the tours by myself. I caught the ferry by myself. I ate by myself. It was just a life-changing experience. And, I leaned into God every day, because I was nervous about traveling out of the country by myself. But I was 49 years old, and like I said, I'm an extrovert, and I'm really not scared of anything. I was a little nervous, but I'm not, because what's going to happen is what's going to happen. So I just had a good time. And what I learned, each country, you just learn something different, maybe about the food, about the dress, about the people. It's a little bit of everything.
I love the fact that you talked about a person backed out. If someone, you had a trip planned, the person backs out, sometimes we're ready to cancel the whole trip. I need to try to find somebody. You can't find anybody. And the fact that you said, okay, but I'm going.
I'm going.
And you went.
And I went.
And enjoyed yourself.
And inspired so many other people. So many people said, oh my God, I can't believe you went. You are my shero. You inspired me. You did it. And I've inspired so many other people.
Wow. I mean, some of us won't even go to dinner by ourselves, much less to another country.
20-hour flight.
But like you said, before you went, you made sure everything was mapped out. So, yes, you're going to have some surprises, but for the most part, it was mapped out.
Oh, it was mapped out, detailed, where I was not walking down the street with a map. And I tell people my secret would be, so I had everything mapped out the night before. Well, I already had it mapped out before I left, but I would look at everything that morning. I would know what street I was going to turn, where the shopping was. I knew exactly where to go and how far of a walk it was from the hotel. And so that I never had to pull out my map. And if I did need to pull out my map, I would go into the bathroom, pull out my map, and figure out, oh, I'm lost. Where do I go? Pull it out in the bathroom, put it back in my purse, and then keep going. You never walk down the street with a map, because then you're a target.
Right.
Yes, you're a target. Never walk down the street with a map.
So as you think about this travel, what was one of the most interesting or beautiful places that you went to that you still say, gosh, I'd go back there again and again?
So many.